Good morning, children. In the previous class, we started with chapter 4, the northern mountains and the northern plains. In the previous class, we started with a new chapter, chapter 4, the northern mountains and the northern plains. In the previous class, we learned about the northern mountains, the Himalayan mountains, and the Himalayan mountains, which are divided into again three parts, that is the greater Himalayas, the middle or lesser Himalayas, and the lower Himalayas. Today we are going to start with the importance of Himalayas. In the previous class, we got to know that the Himalayas, which is divided into three parts, and each part we studied in detail. So now we learn about the importance of the Himalayas. Importance of Himalayas. Page number 24. The Himalayas acted as a natural barrier against foreign invaders in the past. Historically, it has prevented unfriendly arrivals and attacks from the other side of the mountains. It forms a natural boundary between India and neighbors like China. It protects our country from the cold winds of the north. It prevents the rain-bearing winds from leaving the country. This results in heavy rainfall in India. The melting snow of the Himalayas gives rise to some of the major rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna. These rivers are called perennial rivers because they have water throughout the year. Many valuable products like timber, resin, medicines, etc. are obtained from the forest in this mountain range. It also sustains a very rich variety of plants and animals which is not seen in other parts of the world. The forests of the Himalayas are home to many animals such as yak, goat, snow leopards, musk deer, and wild sheep. Importance of Himalayas. Now, the Himalayas acted as a natural barrier against foreign invaders in the past. It means the Himalayas protect our country from foreign attack. Attack from the neighboring countries who are our enemies. It is a great wall that stops them from entering our country. People who are very jealous about our country, they try to harm us, they try to enter our country and create problems. So the Himalayas helps in protecting our country. It forms a natural boundary between India and neighbors like China. So it is a borderline. It stops people from entering in our country. It acts as a borderline, as a security. It protects our country from cold winds of the north. It also protects our country from the cold wind. It prevents the rain-bearing winds from leaving the country. This results in heavy rainfall in India. It is because of the Himalayas we get sufficient rain, and rain is required for every living organism, whether it is plants, animals, insects, or human beings. So the Himalayas play a very important role in bringing the rain-bearing winds, and due to which we get sufficient rain in India. The next one, The melting snow of the Himalayas gives rise to some of the major rivers like the Ganga and Yamuna. The melting snow of the Himalayas gives rise to some of the major rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna. These rivers are called perennial rivers because they have water throughout the year. So the Ganga and Yamuna, 365 days it is full with water because of the melting snow of the Himalayas. That is why they are called as perennial rivers. Not only that, many valuable products like timber, resin, medicines, etc. are obtained from the forest in this mountain range. When I say timber, it is the wood. It is full of forest. So, it provides us wood for making different kinds of materials using the wood. Medicines, all different kinds of medicines that is available in the forest. Next, raisins we get in large number. So it provides us many important valuable products who produce the Himalayas. It also sustains a very rich variety of plants and animals which is not seen in other parts of the world. Along with this, the Himalayas also provides us, it has a variety of plants and animals which we cannot see in any other parts of the world. The forests of the Himalayas are home to many animals such as yak, goat, snow leopard, musk deer and white sheep. So these animals are found only in the Himalayas, nowhere else. Page number 25. Now, life in the Himalayas. Life in the Himalayas. How do the people survive there? How do they work? What do they eat? How do they celebrate their festivals and religion and other traditions and customs? So, the life of people in the Himalayas. Life in the Himalayas. Life is somewhat difficult in the mountains. Life in the Himalayas is difficult. Life is somewhat difficult in the mountains. Many places still do not have proper roads and connectivity to the outside world. Sheep rearing is practiced by the people in this region. Fruits and a few crops are grown as a means of livelihood. Many people are part of the cottage industry, that is wood carving, weaving of carpets, making woolen clothes. Fruits like apple, orange, peach and plum are grown and sold. During winters, people have to adjust to the harsh weather condition. Now, how do the people survive here? Life is very difficult there because, first of all, it is a mountainous area and many places do not have proper roads. We cannot construct roads because of the hills, mountains. So, many places still do not have proper roads and connectivity to the outside world. Sheep rearing. Sheep rearing is practiced by the people in this region. That is, they have thousands and thousands of sheep. They rear, they take care. That is their profession. You can call them even as shepherds. Fruits and a few crops are grown as a means of livelihood. Now they are surviving there, they are working there. That means they have to do something for their daily life. That is, they have to feed themselves, they have to feed their family. So they have to do something. So what they do? Fruits and few crops they grow so that they can survive there. Many people are part of the cottage industries. Cottage industries are small scale industries where people work from home. Many people are part of the cottage industries, that is wood carving, weaving of carpets, making woolen clothes. So these are the small cottage industries, small scale industries that they run from their home so that they can earn money. Fruits like apple, orange, peach and plum are grown and sold. So these are the fruits that are grown in the Himalayas. During winters, people have to adjust to the harsh weather condition. During the winter season, the climate is very horrible because the snow melts, and because of the snow covered mountains, the weather becomes very cold and people have tough time living there. Some of the Indian regions situated in the Himalayas are Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. So all these places come under the Himalayan mountains, which are there: Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. So this is all about the Himalayas. The next part that we are going to learn is about the northern plains. The northern plains. Plains are large stretches of flat land. Such areas of land are usually fertile and have a climate suitable for agriculture. They are suitable for large scale farming. It is easy to construct buildings on plains. Most industries develop along the banks of rivers because of easy availability of water. People prefer People prefer to settle down in the plains because of these reasons. As a result of all this, plains are generally well populated and grow into cities. The northern plains stretches plains are large stretches of flat land. Such areas of land are usually called or fertile land and have a climate suitable for growing crops. Agriculture in the sense growing different kinds of crops. They are suitable for large scale farming, that is not small quantity but in bulk. Large quantity of farming can be done here because of the soil and the climate which is suitable. It is easy to construct buildings on plains. It was very difficult in the Himalayas because that is a mountainous place, but the northern plains it is very easy to construct buildings. Most industries develop along the banks of river because of easy availability of water. People prefer to settle down in the plains because of these reasons. As a result of all this, plains are generally well populated and grow into cities. So therefore, many people are settled in the northern plains because the soil is good for agriculture, growing crops, water facility is there, climate is suitable, and you can construct buildings. So therefore, many people settle in the northern plains. The northern or Indo-Gangetic plains are amongst the largest and the most fertile plains in the world. So the northern plains, it is known as the, it is amongst the largest and the most fertile plains in the world, not in the country, but in the world. They are located to the south of the Himalayan range. They cover the greater part of the North India and are hence known as the Northern Plains. These plains extend 3,200 kilometers across east to west and are 240 to 320 kilometers wide, spanning from Punjab in the west to parts of Assam in the east, covering states like Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and Delhi. So all this place comes under the northern plains. Throughout their expanse, they remain a broad, flat, and level region. Northern plains of India, it is so famous because of the fertility of the soil, good climatic condition. You can construct many roads, you can construct many buildings. So people settle there because they have all the facilities. And these are the places which covers under or comes under the northern place, which are there: Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and Delhi. So these places fall under the northern plains. These plains are extremely fertile because of two reasons. Now, why are these plains very fertile? Soil is very good for growing crops. What is the reason? So let's know what's the reason now. These plains are extremely fertile. These plains are extremely fertile because of two reasons. Because of two reasons. One, the first reason is they are well drained due to perennial rivers originating in the Himalayas flowing through them. Second one, the rivers bring along with them pieces of rock, sand, and silt. The finer silt, when deposited by the river, forms the highly fertile alluvium. So there are two reasons why this place is so fertile and good for growing crops and suitable. The first one is because they are very well drained due to the perennial rivers. Now, which are these two rivers? One is the Ganga and the second one is the Yamuna, which is 365 days, that is throughout the year, it is flowing with water. So there is no water problem in the northern plains because of the river Ganga and Yamuna. So sufficient water is there which we require for growing crops. Second one, the rivers bring along with them pieces of rocks, sand, and silt. When the river is flowing from up to down, so when it is flowing down, it brings down pieces of rock, sand, and silt. The finer silt, when deposited by the rivers, forms the highly fertile alluvium. The fertile plains make agriculture profitable. That is the reason why growing crops, farming, cultivation is very easy and successful here in the northern plain because of the water facility and the soil fertility. There are three large river basins that form the northern plains. There are three large river basins that form the northern plains. The Ganga basin in the center, the Sutlej basin in the west, and the Brahmaputra basin in the east. So in the northern plain, there are three large river basins, and which are they? The Ganga basin, the Sutlej basin, and the Brahmaputra. The Ganga basin is in the center. The Satluj in the west and the Brahmaputra in the east. These rivers cover a large area and form a network throughout the plains. So, because of these three rivers, they form a large area and form a network throughout the plains. So there is no scarcity of water, there is no problem with the water, and soil also is very fertile. So growing crops is very easy, and they cultivate in large number. That is, heavy quantity of crops can be grown here. Now, there are three basins, river basins, that is the Ganga basin, the Brahmaputra basin, and the Satluj basin. The Ganga basin originates from the Gangotri glacier. The Ganga basin originates from the Gangotri glacier in the Himalayas. It flows through the states of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. Yamuna is its main tributary. River Ganga meets River Yamuna at Allahabad. The meeting point is known as Sangam, the place where Ganga and Yamuna, the river Ganga and Yamuna meet together. It is called as Sangam. It is called as Sangam. Children, we stop here for today. In tomorrow's class, we will continue. We'll continue in the tomorrow's class, and tomorrow this lesson will be over. Then I will clear your doubts. If everything is okay, then I will show you the PPT and explain to you in the form of PPT, which will be very easy for you to understand. For today, we stop here, and tomorrow's session, I start again from the three, that is the Ganga basin, the Brahmaputra, and the Satluj. For homework, read the lesson till where I have done. Read the lesson, understand, mark your difficulties, find out the meanings. It is there behind your text. If you have not understood anything,